This is the February 9th, 2021 meeting of the Tempe Historic Preservation Commission. Looks like it's about 6:02. Let's go ahead and start with the roll call. Commissioner Garrity.
Here.
All right. Commissioner Garrison.
Here.
Commissioner Gilbert.
Here.
Commissioner Larson is ill. Commissioner Montero.
Here.
Commissioner Nucci.
Here.
Hopefully that will stick. Commissioner Williams.
Here.
And Commissioner Woodson.
Here.
All right. All right. Well, let's get on to it here. We are limited by state law to addressing issues that are on the agenda, but if anyone present would like to add something to that, I'm sorry, would anyone like to put an item on a future agenda, a future meeting, please let me know sometime during the meeting and we'll consider that. All right, let's move on to item number 2, approval of December 9, 2021 meeting minutes. Does anyone have any changes to make to it? No? This is quite unusual. That means Brittany or Robbie did a good job on it. All right, would someone like to make a motion then to approve the December meeting minutes?
Commissioner Montero makes a motion to approve the December meeting minutes.
All right, thanks. And would someone like to second that?
Woodson second.
All right, thank you. All right, and how do you vote, Commissioner Garrity?
Aye.
Commissioner Garrison?
Aye.
Commissioner Gilbert?
Aye.
Commissioner Montero? Obviously, aye.
Aye.
Commissioner Nucci?
Aye.
Commissioner Williams?
Aye.
Commissioner Woodson?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. All right, thank you. Let's move on to agenda item number 3, an update on the Butler Gray House. What can you tell us about how that's going, Robbie?
Good afternoon. I'm Chair Boss and members of the commission. I have a quick update on the Butler Gray House. As you recall, at our last meeting, you guys, before you was a demolition permit for the Butler Gray House that you denied. That began a 180-day stay of demolition for the property owner. During that time, city staff is directed to work with the property owner to try and come up with a solution to save the property. Staff has been working with the property owner. We visited the house, which was done very nicely. It was really well done inside. We walked around the property, spoke with the property owner on what their goals were. The property owner provided us with a kind of a, hey, here's how much I want for the property, what they're looking to get based on what they view the property is worth. We took that and then we went to work with other departments within the city that actually have funds to potentially purchase properties. So we spoke with housing. Since housing was interested in possibly buying the property for affordable housing purposes. So we sent a letter of intent, which basically stated that we would need to do A, B, and C to purchase the property. Housing would be using federal funding. If they use federal funding, we need to get an appraisal, and then it would be based off of fair market value. However, if you read the HUD guidelines, you can go above fair market value if you can prove that there is need to do so. The property owner didn't really like that, and kind of gave us a little bit of an ultimatum saying, okay, you have until this date, that date being February 15th. If you don't want to work with me, then I would like you to issue me my demolition permit on March 31st. Obviously, we're not going to do that. The code doesn't allow us to do that, or at least the demolition permit would be able to be issued would be June 7th, as that's 181 days since the denial. So we've since worked with our legal department and housing, and we will be going to an executive session at City Council tomorrow to see what council's thoughts are and get some direction from council in their e-session tomorrow. So I can't really give you an update as to if we're going to buy it or not. We're still trying to figure that out. Housing, like I said, housing was interested. So now we need to go talk to council and get their direction and seek their input, which we will be doing tomorrow on e-session. And hopefully, once that's done, we'll have some good direction. And then Friday, Ryan Levake and I will be meeting the property owner on site at their house again to discuss what options we have after our council direction. That's all I have for right now. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. But I wanted to give you an update on where we were, as I know this is of interest to everybody.
Thanks, Robbie. That was actually quite an update. Sounds like city staff's done a lot to try to work with the owner on this. Do you know if staff mentioned the idea of him adding a guest house in the back to try to achieve this maximized value he's wanting to get?
We did mention that he could add an accessory dwelling unit per the code, a maximum of 800 square feet of livable space.
Okay.
I will say that, you know, like I said, it's 800 square feet of livable space. So that doesn't mean that he couldn't add, you know, another 400 square feet of garage space or whatever. That is, he is able to do that as a garage is not considered livable space. So you could still get like 800 square feet in a single car garage or even a 2-car garage, maybe some storage area that's also not considered livable space by the building code, you know, things like that. So we did mention that. He didn't really seem to think that that would achieve his maximum potential for the property, but it was mentioned. We also mentioned potentially you know, splitting the lot and, you know, the city buying the front portion and then potentially, you know, him able to build a unit on the rear portion that meets code requirements. There were a lot of options discussed. He seems to be pretty firm in his stance. So that's why we are now going to council to see if we can get some direction on what they would like us to do.
And refresh my memory, what was the appraised value? Was it 675? Something like that sticks in my head, or
We didn't actually have an appraisal. The estimate, you know, the estimate that you get off of Zillow was something between 675 and I think like 800.
okay.
So, you know, a pretty good chunk of change below what his maximum potential value is and what it kind of expects to get out of the property.
And what was his expected value, or
It was well over $1 million.
aspirational? Yeah, I knew it was over $1 million. Yeah.
Based on the materials provided in December, the estimate was $696,000 as of November 21st.
That's about
Yeah,
what I thought I remember it being. Yeah, the high sixes.
Yeah, and I think in the materials in December, I think that I provided, you know, he had his his valuation in there. But even after that, he's since sent us multiple other options of how to make this work and things like that. So, but everything that we've got has been over $1 million to purchase the property. So,
Right. I hope the man starts to become more reasonable because these aspirational values of his are based on adding something to the property, tearing down and rebuilding, or adding something in the back. It doesn't just fly from 700,000 to over $1 million because that's what he wants. Work would be required for that lofty number. At least that's my thought on it. Does anyone else have any thoughts on it?
I just have a question. Thank you, Robbie, for your efforts on this. But I just was wondering if there's any indication of what housing would do with the property if they purchase it. If there's any discussion about that. You mentioned affordable housing, but yeah.
yeah, they would likely. So housing does have some, rental units, and they've expressed interest in the past of potentially buying other historic properties to, kind of have some inventory in the city's wheelhouse to provide people with an affordable place to live within the city. And then I think there would probably potentially be some discussion of adding an additional unit on the back to provide another unit. Those are kind of the initial thoughts that in discussions we've had with housing, although nothing's really been set in stone, obviously because we don't own the property yet. So, but those are kind of the thoughts that we had and that housing agreed would probably work best. So that, anything that they can, purchase for a reasonable price that they can then use in their toolkit is super helpful to them. So
Thank you.
That would be a great combination if it works to do something for affordable housing and save a historic property at the same time.
Chair
Anyone
Buss?
else? Yes, go ahead.
Hi, this is Ryan Levine, Deputy Director in Planning Division.
Yes.
Yes, Robbie's been doing very good work on trying to negotiate with the property owner on all options. And
Mhm.
frankly, they have an unrealistic expectation of what the price value of the property is. And I think he's given us several different scenarios of how he would envision redeveloping it. One plan even estimating the property value up to 1.5 million. But we have certainly considered a lot of different scenarios, even to the lowest low-hanging fruit point of him suggesting that the city process a subdivision plat for the property and he would walk away from the demolition permit. Although that doesn't provide any guarantee or certainty long-term, it would, at least for the immediate future, prevent him from proceeding forward with his demolition permit. And then sell the properties individually. We even discussed bringing up a conservation facade easement on the property. He's determined a potential value of that of being $250,000. So again, options, scenarios, but we haven't necessarily closed the doors on all of them. But he's looking for an answer or commitment to one of these options by February 15th. Otherwise, as what he said, is he will start preparing or reaching out to developer consultants to strategize on what he wants to do with the property for the future. His plans right now are really to retire, move to California, and sell off this property. So he doesn't have any unfortunately, doesn't have any long-term interest in preserving the property. He's just trying to get maximum value out of it, according to his words.
Right. Yeah. That's the definite message I've heard from him, that he wants to maximize the value, and he seems to be in a hurry to do it. I just feel like that, whatever it is, 1.2, 1.3, 1.5 million is going to require a lot of work. If I was in that position, I'd be willing to settle for something quick and less. But yeah, kudos to Robbie. And everyone else at the city. We've been very creative on trying to find a solution to this. Did anyone else have any thoughts?
This is Commissioner Woodson. Yes, I'd just like to chime in and say thank you to Robbie and also Ryan. Both of you, thanks for pursuing this and trying to find some options. And Ryan, you also answered one of my questions, was whether anybody had actually analyzed the document that he had provided to the city and the commission saw last time at December meeting, to see if you actually found any of those proposed development plans and pricing options or opportunities to be realistic. And it sounds like you have looked at that, which is great. So thank you guys both. And hopefully you guys can find a good solution here.
Yeah, essentially, what he's asking us to do is somewhat unrealistic. He's asking us to pay for the value of the property as if it were already rebuilt or constructed with additional units on it. And the matter remains that if you demolish this property, you're going to reduce your current value of it, because there's a value in having an existing home on the property. But if you demo it, no home, you've now reduced your value for a vacant property. So
Very good points.
we've discussed and shared with him our concerns. We've even commented that his duplex comment exceeded the allowable density for the property. The R2 zoning would allow 2 units on the site, not 3 in total. A lot split is a potential option if it were either an accessory dwelling or separate new dwelling that is accessed off the alley. Those are options that could be considered in terms of preserving the historic building along the Mill Avenue frontage.
All right, thanks, Ryan. Anyone else have any thoughts on it?
No, but thank you.
No. Okay. All right. Well, thanks, Robbie and Ryan, for your work on this, and everyone else who's working on it. I assume this is something, Robbie, that can be on the agenda for the next meeting, since that 15th deadline is next week. I guess we'll have something to talk about in March. Are you there, Robbie? I hope we didn't lose Robbie.
No, you didn't lose me. My computer is being wonky.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I will place on the next month's agenda as an update.
Okay, great. Hopefully you'll have well, some kind of a happy ending, or at least still working. All right. Well, let's move on to agenda item number 4. An update on the Hayden Flour Mill RFP process. Did you have anything you wanted to say on this first, Robbie, or?
I don't. I was
Okay.
going to pass it over to you, and then
Yeah.
I see Ryan is on the call as well, and I know he was also on the team that reviewed the applications that were received by Economic Development. So I will hand it over to Chair Buss and Ryan Levake to discuss the update on the Hayden Flour Mill RFP process.
All right. Thanks, Robbie. Ryan, if I recall right, this all went public on the excuse me, on the 4th of this month, didn't it?
That is correct, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Feel free to discuss.
Okay. I thought so. I just wanted to double and triple check, not violate any confidentiality here. So anyway, last fall, I believe it was around September, if I remember right, the city put out an RFP for the Hayden Flour Mill and gave any interested developers, about a month to respond to the request. What we ended up with were responses from DMB and a joint venture between Venue Projects and Sunbelt Holdings. The RFP committee that I was involved with, we met in December, kind of early to mid-December, and then we met again in January. We were given a lot of material from each of the developers, a lot of written material about what they envision for the property. And we decided after our first meeting, we'd all read the material in advance before the first meeting. And while we thought DMB, as I put it, and others agreed, DMB seemed to be very qualified to put up a new building. They've done a lot of new buildings, including the, I recall right, the Chase building with the P.F. Chang's at the corner of Mill and University, which I believe that was back in the 90s, I think. It's been there a while. But most of you have heard of DMB. They have projects all over the valley. The feeling from the committee was that DMB was better suited to building new rather than adaptive reuse of a historic property. I know I myself, when I read the proposal from Venue Project Sunbelt Holdings, I was impressed with the very first page. They took the time to show a photo of the flour mill and then talk about the flour mill instead of talking about themselves. I was sold on the first page, but I kind of held back, like, you know, I should hear the whole story about who they are and what they want to do. And the committee was very impressed with the Venue Sunbelt team. They have done a lot of projects around the valley here and out of state. They've done several projects in Texas and North Carolina that were conversions of old factory buildings into adaptive reuse, like mostly breweries. And they had photos of that. I probably should have included all this here so you guys could have seen it. Yeah, they did very impressive work in other states and here. They're responsible for the Rise Uptown Hotel that's between Central and 7th Avenue on the north side of Camelback Road. It was I believe it's from the 60s office building that was converted into a boutique hotel. They're also responsible for a project called the Alhambra in downtown Mesa. There's I believe it's the Benedictine University there that was looking to expand and wanted more space. They Venue, these were Venue projects actually that I'm starting with here. Venue was able to use historic tax credits to convert the 1894 building into space for the university that's nearby. They've also done a project called the Orchard, which is related to the old Ralph Citrus building over in Northeast Phoenix. They also did the Newton, which is close to the Rise Uptown Hotel. I believe they're actually right next door to each other. So that's some of what Venue has done. Sunbelt was Sunbelt used to involve I'm sorry, I was thinking of John Kitchell. John Kitchell is involved with Venue, and he's an old name in Phoenix area development, goes back to the 80s. He was originally involved with Kitchell Contracting and then did custom homes for a while. So anyway, switching back again to Sunbelt, sorry for the confusion there. Sunbelt did projects that we know like Marina Heights, and they're currently building the cul-de-sac project on Apache Boulevard between McClintock and Price, or the 101 there. So anyway, they have a very impressive portfolio of projects that they've been involved with. And I think it's great that we got both of them together on one team. We had them consider all sorts of factors, including sight lines, to make sure that there's still preservation of some of the views of the mountain. Their biggest goal, they said, and what they do in the very first phase is to stabilize the buildings that are there after that, they would start to worry about adding things. And what they want to add would be very low structures. It looked like the drawings indicated nothing more than about 3 or 4 stories, which would allow the silos and the mill building to stand out as being the most important features of the site. And that was about it. We were, like I said, we were very impressed. We asked them a lot of questions. We called them in for an interview. We didn't see the need with DMB. DMB presented as one of the members of the panel said, DMB just presented a boilerplate proposal, which it looked like they'd used for other projects too. It was not very specific to this one. They didn't seem to have any passion for historic preservation. Whereas Venue has done projects where they actually used historic tax credits to get projects done. So that was about it. Did anyone have any questions about it? Anyone with a question on that, or?
Commissioner
Chair-
Montero,
Chair
yes, I
Woodson,
have.
Oh, sorry.
All right, no, you go first.
I just thought I'd just ask you to, I wasn't quite clear on, so what was the date that you had that meeting? You said it was in December?
Yes, we had a meeting, I believe it was around mid-December, and another meeting in January.
And so there's still a selection process going on at the moment?
No. We have decided to, I'm sorry, I left out the most important part, the ending here. We did decide to make a recommendation to City Council to consider opening up formal negotiations with Venue Sunbelt to proceed with using them as the developers for the project.
Very good. Yeah, that's what I was trying to figure out.
Yeah, sorry,
Thanks.
I forgot to mention that. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I believe it's maybe Ryan can fill us in. I believe that's going to be discussed at tomorrow's council meeting, Ryan.
Yeah, that is correct. It's on their agenda for taking action on the
Right. Okay.
respondent.
And I did ask some more questions about the RFP process. It's the first time I've been involved in one. And it's a very lengthy process. They've indicated it could take a year or so to come to formal financial agreements on this all. And then after that, start the process of making designs, getting permits, that sort of thing. I mean, it's not a quick process, but at least it's starting. Commissioner Montero, did you have something you wanted to say earlier?
I just wondered if there was any discussion about that landscaping plan that we talked about. I think it was in November's meeting.
I'm glad you brought that up. There was, I personally brought up that issue. They, it's a little early to get into the specifics of it, but they said that they would definitely be willing to work with someone on that. And I told them the situation about Peter and his offer, and that his offer's been out there quite a while, and that he would like to move forward with this. And the presentation that he had given to our commission, what he's proposing to do, seemed reasonable and would blend with the mountain and the project.
Good.
Yeah. Speaking of
Thank
that,
you.
one of the things I just recalled from the site plan that was submitted from Venue Sunbelt was that they showed a water feature. It kind of looks like a little stream that runs through the property, and it seemed reminiscent of the canal of water that used to flow to the mill a long time ago for water power for the mill. So I appreciated their attention to detail on this.
Cool. That
Yeah.
sounds really promising. Thank you.
Yeah. And Shane Anton was on the committee.
Oh, good.
Yes, and he was the one that had the questions about view corridors, making sure that we would not wipe out the view of the mountain.
Very good.
Hi, this is Commissioner Garrity. So Peter, we heard him speak. He put a lot of the time, effort, and frankly, his own personal money, and he was willing to put up a lot more of his own personal money to make sure to stay a public park accessible to pretty much anyone.
Mhm.
I don't know, has anyone kind of reached out to Peter? Ideally, I'd like to see him involved. I mean, he had an excellent vision. He worked with the tribes. The tribes were happy with it. Um, I'm not saying we have to do everything exactly the way it was designed for him, but I
Yeah.
think he really should be part of this process, and he needs to be reached out to and brought in because he really got this ball rolling in a lot of ways.
Right. That's a good
Us?
point. Ryan, is that something that, is there someone on city staff that could
Yeah, actually,
contact Peter?
I've got a news update I can share with you all.
Okay, great. Yeah, go ahead.
Deputy City Manager Stephen Methvin had reached out to Peter Busick, and in anticipation of this agenda item going to City Council, and if we receive an accepted approval of the RFCA on City Council's agenda, we are looking to coordinate a meeting with economic development as well as venue projects to meet with Peter Busick and discuss his plans and vision for the area and start that collaboration now.
Great. That's wonderful. I'm glad we're not waiting months or years to move on this.
Great. Thank you for that, Ryan. I think that's great that you're inviting Peter into the process. Was there also any discussion of maintaining this more as a public? I think Peter wanted it to be a city park. Is there any discussion about that, or is it too early to get into that?
I believe the goals of the RFP is still to maintain the property as owned by the city, but land lease back to ventures. So I think there's certainly going to be a lot of aspects of the project site that are likely still open to remain open to the public. But as they had described it, it's a phased project, and I'm glad to hear that their first phase of the project is looking at reinvesting in the Hayden flour mill and silos as their first objective and goal for this project.
Okay, thank you.
That was a good point, Ryan. I'd mentioned it earlier too. That was part of what was, there was enough to have the committee impressed with this venue Sunbelt partnership, but to hear them also say that that's the first thing they would do is work on the buildings that are there. It seems like sometimes developers, all they care about is, oh, we want to hurry up and get the new stuff on there, and someday we'll get around to what's already there. But for them, it was the other way around. They seem to realize the value of what is there. I also suggested, it seems like a minor detail. I hope someday we'll see it years from now, but I suggested, because I saw it with some of their other projects around the country, I suggested uplighting the silos and maybe even the mill building at night. Of course, subject to making sure the light does not leave the surface of the building and interfere with aircraft. I thought that way we'd see something that was the birthplace of this city as people are driving back and forth on the 202 freeway nearby. Did anyone else have any questions or comments? No? All right. Well, let's move on to agenda item number 5, a discussion of a future chair and vice chair. What do you have for us, Robbie?
This is just me saying, and kind of wanting to give everybody a heads up that as of March 31st, Commissioner Buss will be terming out, and thus we will not have a chair. We also don't have a vice chair at the moment. So more or less, I just want everybody to be kind of considering potentially becoming the chair or vice chair. of the HPC. If you do have aspirations to be the chair and vice chair and you have questions about what all that entails, I know Chair Buss would be happy to go over that with you. You can also email me or Ryan Levake, and we can discuss those things with you as to what the chair or vice chair of the HPC typically does and what those duties entail if you are interested. Also of note, Commissioner Nucci will be terming out at the end of March. So we will be getting 2 new commissioners come April. We haven't decided who those, or council will ultimately decide who those commissioners are. We do have applications for them, and staff will recommend to council, the mayor and council, of who to appoint, and then ultimately mayor will appoint and council will decide of who gets appointed. So this is more or less just me letting you know that come April, we will need to have chair and vice chair nominations and a vote. So just to be considerate of that and be thinking if that is a capacity that you might want to serve in.
Thanks, Robbie. And Robbie, is that something that could be put on March agenda? I guess another discussion in case anyone between now and March feels like they're interested in that. Do you want to do it that way, or do you want to just wait until April?
I think, if there come people that are interested that are currently on the commission and will be on the commission, we can certainly put that on the agenda. Otherwise, perhaps the people coming in would be willing to serve in such a capacity if no one else is interested. So we can play that one by ear.
Okay, all right. And as Robbie said, I'd be glad to talk to anyone who feels they may be interested. You can email me, call me, whatever. I'd be glad to discuss it with anyone. And Robbie, the offer is still there if for some reason they feel they need an extra month for transition. I'd be fine with that. But if it's causing a wave, then that's fine too. Hopefully, hopefully you'll get some good candidates.
That is all I
Right.
have on that.
Yeah. All right. Did anyone have any comments or questions on that item? No? All right. Let's move on to agenda item number 6, chair and staff updates. I feel like my only update we had was the Hayden flour mill RFP process. I can't think of anything I have. What do you have, Robbie?
I have a couple updates. My first update is related to upcoming items. I will, in the March agenda, we will have a discussion for a certificate of appropriateness for a 2-story addition in the Date Palm Manor neighborhood. So be on the lookout for information about that in the agenda packet. Also, Monday starts our new historic preservation officer, Zachary Lechner. We reached out to Zach and asked if he could join us tonight. However, he is on the road traveling to Arizona at this time. He was kind enough to record us a greeting video to kind of share who he is and his excitement and what he's about. So I'm going to let Brittany play that video for us, and then we could go from there. So Brittany, if you want to pull that up.
Okay, hold on, I'm working on it. Give me 1 second. Hello. Thank you for letting me bring your meeting to a grinding halt for a few moments. My name is Zachary Lechner. You can call me Zach. You may know that I am the Historic Preservation Officer and a Senior Planner for the City of Tempe, starting on February 14th. And so I'll be working very closely with you on the Historic Preservation Commission. And so I look forward to being with you in person at future meetings. I'm actually on the road right now as I'm recording this, on the way to Arizona, where I will be in a couple of days. So I just want to tell you a little bit about myself, about my background, and then quickly too about my philosophy of historic preservation. I come largely from an academic background until recently, so I taught full time for a number of years. I have a master's degree in history from Purdue University and a PhD in history from Temple University. I moved kind of full time into the field of historic preservation a couple of years ago, working for the North Dakota State Historical Society and the North Dakota State Historic Preservation Office. In that role, I served as historic preservation planner and historic preservation specialist. So I was the co-coordinator for the National Register of Historic Places program in the state of North Dakota. I researched and wrote a National Historic Landmark nomination draft for Fort Clark, which is a 19th century fur trading post, as well as a nearby Mandan Arikara indigenous village. And then finally, among other tasks, I spearheaded the revision of the state's historic preservation plan. So one of the tasks that I really look forward to early on in my tenure as the HPO with the city of Tempe is helping to comment on, revise, and then implement your new historic preservation plan, which I think is very exciting. You know, that it's here and that it will soon be available. So my philosophy of historic preservation is pretty simple. I believe it should be for everyone. It shouldn't be just an elite endeavor. And so I see my tasks as numerous in this position, and they include promoting the cause of historic preservation, obviously providing technical assistance to various stakeholders, justifying historic preservation when there's competing interests involved, and we know that happens, right? And then finally, and I hope that, and I know I'll have your help in this task. I want to help to not just promote historic preservation, but make it accessible for more people of the city of Tempe, all different types of people, right? So I'm just very excited about this position, and I'm sorry that I can't be there in person, but I'll look forward to being there with you at future meetings and taking a very involved role, of course. So I'm accessible. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me, and I'll be reaching out to you as well, getting to know you, and I really look forward to that process. I'm very excited about that. So I look forward to seeing you very soon, and have a good evening.
Well, thanks for bringing that to us, Robbie and Brittany. That was very fun.
Yes, we are very excited to have Zach joining us starting Monday. And as he stated, he'll definitely be with us at the March meeting. And we will be working on getting him introduced to a lot of people over the next month or so. So, and getting him on board. So that's great. One other update or just kind of a heads up that I wanted to give is the planning department did receive a preliminary site plan review application for the property located on the southeast corner of 5th and Roosevelt. There's a house there that is historic eligible. So I just wanted to give the commission a heads up that there could be a demolition permit filed for that particular parcel in the future. Like I said, this is a preliminary site plan review that was received by the department, the planning division. And so there's no guarantee that we're going to get it, but but just know that that parcel is being looked at for development. Now, Ambika wanted to give an update on the historic preservation plan and where we're at with that. So, Ambika?
Thank you, Robbie. Chairperson and commissioners, Ambika Adhikari, Principal Planner, Community Development. I just wanted to quickly give you a little bit of a heads up and maybe seek your guidance on the draft historic preservation plan that was prepared. As you know, because of the transition and the new HPO coming on board and that him needing a little bit of a time, it'll be good for him also to get involved and weigh in and look at that document. And then also the staff probably can review it a little more in depth, especially because I think it could be reformatted for the ease of reading, put it into InDesign type of format so it's more user friendly. And then we can also take this opportunity to take, maybe a month or two to get a little more input so that the plan becomes long lasting, because the last one was in 1997. So given all of that, we have discussed inside and prepared some kind of idea of reaching out to some concerned staff like Tempe Historic Preservation Foundation and maybe a few other people who are interested, and then also making it publicly available one more time, and then bringing it back to you in May meeting, and then end of the May council meeting for its approval. And prior to that, just for the courtesy, even take it to a DRC once, because they do deal with these kind of things. So I just wanted to see if that's something that sounds reasonable to you, and if you're okay with that. We just wanted to get your guidance on the draft historic preservation plan going forward, being reviewed, making it a little more user friendly, and then also having the new HPO weigh in. Thank you.
Thanks, Ambika. What are your thoughts on this, everyone else? I think it would be, I think Ambika's got a good plan there. Did anyone have any comments on it? No?
Thank you,
All right.
Chairperson. Thank you, members.
Thank you. All right, I guess we're kind of drifting into agenda item number 7. Events, announcements, future agenda items. Does anyone have anything?
Not I.
Okay. I thought maybe you would have something. You often do. It's a slow month, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Chair Boss, I did want to
Yes.
state one more thing. It's related to the Hayden Flour Mill.
Yes.
You will likely, in the next probably few weeks, if you happen to go by there during the day, see some work going on. We did have a few break-ins in the past couple weeks, so I've been working with our facilities team to better secure the site. They will also be putting up some lighting by using the they'll be putting new conduit lines in place of existing conduit lines that don't have anything in them, that are more safe for today, and placing some new lights up to kind of light up the east side of the mill as well as the west side of the mill to try and south side to try and prevent people from wanting to tag the mill. We are currently working with Logan Simpson and a subcontractor of theirs to abate the graffiti that is currently on the mill. So the thought was, if the city's going to spend money to abate a bunch of graffiti, to try and prevent more graffiti in the future. So that is, we will be putting some additional lighting and trying to secure some of the doors and gates a little bit better, as we've had people cut a lock off and then also break into some of the barn style doors on the east side of the building. So I've been working with our facilities team to secure those doors a little bit better so that people can't get in there as easily. So I just wanted to give the members of the commission a heads up in case they do go by there and see people working that I am aware and it is for a reason.
Okay, thanks, Robbie. I'm glad you're taking care of that. Did anyone else have anything? No? All right. Then I guess we will end this February 9th, 2022 meeting of the Historic Preservation Commission, and the time is 6:52. Everyone have a good evening, and thanks for coming.
Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you.